Hey, everybody, welcome back. So today we're going to solve another string problem. And it's called number of jewels in stones. So the description is a little off, I think, anyway, but I'll show you what the question means. All right, so let's read it together. You're giving strings J representing the types of stones that are jewels, and S representing the stones you have. Each character in S is a type of stone you have. You want to know how many of the stones you have are also jewels. The letters in J are guaranteed distinct, and all characters in J and S are letters. Letters are case sensitive, so A is considered a different type of stone from capital A. All right, so with all of that said, let me show you what this means graphically. So basically, you're given two strings. This is string S, string J. How many of each of this character? How many small z do you see in here? None, zero. So you return a number, 0. Let's go to the next one. You have EBD. How many small e's do you see here? 0. How many b's, small b's do you see here? 3. How many small d's do you see here? 0. So you return 3 because there's 3 small b's. This one. How many e's do you see? 0. How many b's do you see? 3 of them. How many d's do you see? 1 of them. So you return 3 plus 1, 4. So you return 4. So I think it's easy. Like when you look at it graphically, it's easier than reading this jargon. So I set up some test cases here that we're going to use to test it. This should give you back 0, 3, 4, and this should give you back 10 once we write our function. So let me show you my algorithm. So I plan on creating a character map of this. And then once I have a character map of this, I'll create a character map of this as well. And then I'll loop through each one to see if it exists. And that's it. And then return the value. So the same one here, I'll create a character map of EBD and B3. Then I'll iterate through this one to see how many of this one exists in here. So these are the jewels. So I'll iterate through the jewels. And then I'll do the same here. So I think it's just this question is more of understanding if you can use character maps properly and if you can use loops properly. So let's begin coding. So the first thing first is I want to create my character map, and like what to use for character maps. I'm not going to write it in here. So let me create a function, a utility function. Let's call it character map. So this character map, we're taking a string, obviously, and we'll return an object. So the object that we'll return, let's define it as an empty object. So we're going to return an object. There we go. All right, so now let us populate the object. So we'll create a for of loop. Const I of string. And now we'll add a simple if-else statement using the ternary if-else. We say if object of I exists already, if it does not exist, I'm sorry, negate it. If it does not exist, then what you want to do is you want to set it equal to 1. If it does exist, you want to just add more to it. That's all. This utility function is magic. It just creates an object. It basically creates this for you. If for any string you put in, it will create that for you. That's what it will do. So that's what we're going to do. Now, let us call it. Let's call each one of them. So we'll say character map J. We'll call the function we just used, passing in string J. Character map S, passing character map S, passing the S string. Awesome. Now the next thing we'll do is, since we want the value, since we want to return, we want these values, we need to create a container to store them. So we can say let sum equals 0. Now this is the other loop. So to iterate through objects, iterating through strings and array, you can use the for loop. When you're iterating through objects, we use the in for loop. That's a difference. So const I in character of J. So that's the difference, guys. So the in as opposed to the off loop. This is for objects, this is for strings and arrays. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say if the character of S, if it exists, if each I and J exist in S, that's what we're going to ask. Then we'll say the sum equals sum plus that value, the value of it. And then that's it. And then we'll return sum. It's actually an easier problem if you really think about it, return sum. Because we did most of our work here by creating a character map. So now we're just iterating through the jewels. We're iterating through the left side because this is what we're checking for, not this. So we don't need to iterate through this. And then we're checking if if I in character J, if it exists in S. If it does exist in S, just give us this value. So does this small letter Z exist in here? No. So it's gonna, the sum is 0. Does E exist? No. Does B exist? Yes. So it's gonna give me this 3. That's all it's gonna do. And then we iterate it. And what you can do is to make this smaller, you can just say sum plus equals that. So I mean to make it look cleaner. So you don't need this. All right, awesome. So let's print this. You should get 0, 3, 4, and 10. These are the answers you should get back once we run this. So I'm gonna run my compiler, my node compiler, node index 0, 3, 4, and 10. Very good. Thank you guys. I think that's it. I think we solved the problem.